Hey, welcome back. Today we're continuing where we left off in Patient X with The Red and the Black, episode 14 of season 5. Airing March 8th, 1998, The Red and the Black has Scully recalling her experiences on the bridge through hypnosis, and Mulder learns more about colonization and the rebel aliens. Considering how we left off in the previous episode, it's interesting that we begin with a father typing a letter of forgiveness to his son and a young boy who's walking through the snow to retrieve it.
Thanks, Mr. I'll mail it right off. Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Wait a minute, that's $5 Canadian! Don't you know that's practically worthless? The letter is addressed to the FBI, which is gonna be quite the walk for this kid. We pick up where we left off the following morning after the events with the alien rebels, though I would have enjoyed to see the flaming cattle prod do its work some more. Guys, I'm getting a bad feeling about Scully. I'm glad the assassin guy was burned just enough that we could still make out who he is. Mulder arrives on the scene, but I have no idea how anyone could have possibly survived this. Oh no, Scully's dead! That's right, dead tired of all these fake outs, because she's currently being worked on by paramedics. Scully got really lucky. I mean, it looks like they just rubbed a little ash on her face and called it a day. Meanwhile, most of the bodies are just skeletons. Scully gets hauled off in a helicopter, but look who it is. I'm sure these men will act very professional though.
Is she here? Was she found? Who? My mother.
You know, Spender was a lot calmer than I thought he was gonna be. In the meantime, it appears as though Scully isn't the only one who's in trouble, because what the hell happened to her? Isn't this tube supposed to go down her throat though? Seems Marita has a case of the black oils. You know, Scully looks really good for someone who survived being burnt alive. Mulder wakes her up, but she's confused. Even after seeing the horrific events on a news report, she still has no memory of what happened or even being there.
They didn't find her. She wasn't among the victims. They only found her wheelchair.
I'm sorry.
What were you doing with her?
Well, good morning to you as well, Sunshine. I like how Spender just assumes Mulder's involved because this whole thing revolves around aliens and UFOs. He also sort of blames Mulder for bringing his mother down there, except it wasn't Mulder, it was the assassin guy from the Syndicate. Anyways, Krycek's now handcuffed on the ship, and it really is his own fault. If he could have just kept it in his pants, he'd still have his bargaining chip, and his little girlfriend might not be in a coma.
Do you have the boy?
No. Miss Covarrubias took him.
Guys, I think he's dead. It doesn't seem like Krycek really needed the boy anyways, because the real bargaining chip is the vaccine. The now working Russian vaccine that can stop the colonization. Can someone tell me why aliens tend to crash their ships so much? For a species with intelligence and technology beyond our imagination, they sure can't fly for shit. To be fair, they're usually getting shot down, but still. What, do they think they're actually going to arrest him? Mulder shows Scully photos from the bridge and still she can't remember a thing. She can't even remember Cassandra being there, even though the two ladies did connect before the rebels arrived. As Mulder tells her, all of the bodies found had chips in their necks, so it was likely those chips were used to call everyone to that spot.
Your cancer, your cure, everything that's happening to you now, it all points to that chip.
Mulder believes everything to be the doing of the government, not aliens or UFOs. Scully tries to remind him that the reason he's been on this crusade from the start is because of his memories of his sister's abduction. The thing is though, she doesn't have any memories of what happened to her, and unless she can recover those memories, she refuses to join Mulder in any new crusades. Somehow, those soldiers managed to capture the alien rebel, although in this picture, he kinda looks dead. Now, how were they able to do this? If the alien rebels and bounty hunters are indeed from the same species, then I have a hard time believing these men took him down. These aliens are supposed to be incredibly strong, and shooting them wouldn't work because of the toxic green blood. I'll just chalk it up to the fact that he was just in a crash, so he's probably a little shook up.
We have a vaccine. Developed by the Russians, stolen by Krycek, given to me.
I guess Krycek didn't have much of a choice in turning everything over to the Syndicate now, did he? But at least his little girlfriend might live? The Syndicate are also now planning on either joining with the rebels or turning the rebels over to the colonizers if the vaccine works. Mulder brings Scully to see Dr. Verber, so she too can have her memories brought to the surface through hypnosis. But if Mulder no longer believes his memories, then why would he think it would work for Scully?
You may have heard of hypnagogic trance.
Oh, well, who hasn't heard of whatever the hell you just said? I love the look she gives Mulder, like, why did you bring me here?
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh.
Are we sure she's remembering UFOs? Everyone relax, because yes, she's actually remembering the events of that night. Things get wild because not only do the rebels start setting people on fire, but then another ship shows up and starts setting the rebels on fire. Not only that, but poor Cassandra then gets abducted for like the 40th time. I swear, if Jeffrey blames this one on Mulder, Scully comes back to Earth and Mulder looks more annoyed than anything, like he's upset that her memories involved aliens and not the government. They bring the tape to Skinner, and when Skinner asks Mulder what he thinks about it, Mulder basically blows the whole thing off as being typical alien abduction fare.
That Agent Scully witnessed a very powerful event. Not unlike the one I described on my regression tape, of the false memory of my sister's abduction.
So because Mulder believes his memories to be false, that must mean Scully's are too. I don't think she sees it that way, but I get the impression she's afraid to say what she really feels. Mulder thinks Cassandra was taken by the government, not aliens. But what's funny is both Skinner and Scully were coming around to the idea that maybe Mulder is right. Maybe aliens are abducting people. But now because Mulder saw what was claimed to be a fake alien, he's now pulled a 180 and neither Skinner nor Scully know how to react. Well, so much for the vaccine, I guess. But have you tried DMT? Since the vaccine didn't work in 2 seconds, the rest of the syndicate give the rebel alien over to the colonizers, much to the surprise of the well-manicured man. I'd love to know why they put the teeth talker in charge. Scully enters the office and finds Jeffrey Spender, who wants to know what she's been talking to his mother about. He also throws a little shade at Mulder and his belief of aliens, but has no one told him yet?
I have something here that I think might explain a lot for you. That's me.
Alright, it's actually little Jeffrey Spender who underwent the same therapy, except he claims that what was said was all made up. His mother basically drilled into his head this story about alien abductions, and he believed it so much as a kid that when he was under hypnosis, he just repeated it. However, as he got older, he realized that the whole thing might be nonsense.
But I don't have a mother feeding me abduction stories.
You've got Agent Mulder, don't you? How many times have you heard the stories he's told?
Ooh, take that, Scully. Also, you can really hear the Canadian coming out of Jeffrey here.
How many times have you heard the stories he's told?
Mulder enters his apartment and falls for the old note on the ground trick.
I can beat you with one hand.
Isn't that how you like to beat yourself?
Krycek tells Mulder that he's there to help him, and you know, when I help people, I also like to blindside them in the dark while holding a gun in their face. Krycek then explains the whole colonization thing and Mulder just laughs it off. He's heard so much crap about aliens over the years that he just can't bring himself to believe anything anymore.
No one of these rebels is being held captive. And if he dies, so does the resistance.
You know, I'm starting to think Krycek may have a little crush on Mulder. At the Air Force base where the ship crashed, we have ourselves the return of the bounty hunters. I don't know why, but seeing him in a turtleneck made me laugh. Mulder, who's currently filled with confusing emotions after being kissed by Krycek, is visited by Scully.
What are you doing sitting here in the dark?
Thinking.
Thinking about what?
Well, the usual.
Scully's come to tell Mulder that she's reconsidering the memory she had about the other night, and it seems like Mulder has done some reconsidering himself. Krycek left the name of the Air Force base where the rebel crashed, so in classic X-Files fashion, Mulder has decided to investigate it and bring Scully along. They pull up to the gate and Mulder is really good at bullshitting. I would have stumbled and stammered and probably would have been shot.
I know this man.
Hey, wait a minute, he looks awfully familiar. When the soldier comes back, he notices Mulder trying to break into one of the military trucks and he places Scully under arrest. Ah, now this feels like classic X-Files. Mulder doing something that he's not supposed to be, and Scully getting in trouble because of it. Does anyone else feel bad for the alien rebel, or is it just me? Ah, well, that makes sense. But why would he change into someone we the audience know is dead? Was it so Scully could see someone familiar and it would jog her memory? Or was this guy always the alien bounty hunter and he just never actually died? The bounty hunter brings out Mr. Stabby so he can kill the rebel, but it looks like he's got company. Why did Mulder shoot? He knows they have toxic blood. Also, of course they cut away before we get to watch this epic showdown. Well, look at that. The vaccine did work. I guess the other syndicate members are gonna owe the well-manicured man an apology. The military arrive and arrest a dazed Mulder, and of course we miss out on all the fun.
What happened?
I have no idea. They cut away before we got to the good stuff. Meanwhile, at FBI headquarters, Skinner informs Spender that there's been no update on his mother's whereabouts. Mulder, however, has decided to open an X-file looking into her abduction, which is literally the exact opposite thing Spender wanted to happen.
Oh, Agent Spender, got a letter for you.
A letter from Canada? Now why would Spender receive mail from Canada?
Sorry about that, mister.
The cigarette smoking man has his hands in everything, doesn't he? The red and the black is a good conclusion to our two-parter, though I wouldn't really call it a conclusion of anything. It's more of a ramp-up as things are starting to point towards the X-Files movie. We've got a full-on war beginning to break out between the colonizers and the rebels, with the agents and the syndicate caught in the middle. It's also nice to see Mulder come back around. I never really like seeing depressed I no longer believe Mulder, and I understand what they're doing story-wise, but it's always kind of a bummer. I do enjoy the growth in both Skinner and Scully, who are much more open to believing in the paranormal than they were earlier in the series. With the things they've seen and will see though, it's to be expected. One of the most intriguing aspects is what they're setting up with Jeffrey Spender. Now, if you know, you know. But why is Cigarette Smoking Man sending strange letters to him, and what could it possibly mean? The Red and the Black was written by Chris Carter and Frank Spotnitz. The men figured that since the movie was on the way, they needed to start escalating the tension on the show, and that is where the events of Patient X and the Red and the Black were born. The idea was to start including elements like the opposing alien factions and the restoring of Mulder's belief in aliens. Back in Redux, that belief had been stolen from Mulder, but it would be really difficult to do a movie where Mulder no longer believed in everything. Even people that aren't hardcore fans of the show know Mulder to be the UFO guy. On the writing of the episode, Chris said, "At this point in the mythology, it started to write itself. We had made such a tapestry of events for a narrative that when we started to put the pieces together, they actually started to fall together almost magically. The story sort of dictated itself to us in so many ways because of the connections that had been made. The one new element introduced at this time was Jeffrey Spender, and that was actually the thing that vaulted us forward past this point and into a new chapter of the mythology." Now, considering what a jumbled mess the mythology arc would become, it doesn't really surprise me that Chris Carter would say that it basically wrote itself, because it kind of feels like it. Chris Carter didn't just write the episode, but he also directed it. Rob Bowman was originally scheduled to direct, but because of reshoots with the film, Chris had to take over directing duties. This came at a pretty hectic part in Chris's career, as he not only wrote and directed this episode, but he was also working on his new show Millennium and doing the pre-production on the X-Files movie. Chris claims he had taken 10 days off to do some writing when Frank Spotnitz asked him to direct the episode since its lead up to the movie was so important. Chris agreed to do it, but it only added another thing to his ever-growing pile of work. As much as I like to dump on Chris Carter for some of the poor decisions made with the series, I cannot help but admire his work ethic. The guy just keeps pushing forward no matter how much he has on his plate. According to Rob Bowman, since he was unable to direct the episode, this left Chris Carter pretty angry at him. But movie shoots rarely go smoothly, so I don't know why he'd be so upset with him. It's not like Rob told him to do all those projects at once. With the new additions to the lore of the show, the mythology arc can be kind of confusing. The X-Files was never really known for having a show bible or really planning things ahead, though season 5 definitely planned ahead because they had to take the movie into account, but even some of the show's producers felt things were getting a little confusing. Producer Frank Spotnitz would go on to say, "I think by the time we got to Patient X and the Red and the Black, some people were finding it too hard to keep track of all these disparate elements. We introduced the faceless men on the bridge, these guys that walk around with these flamethrowers and start setting people on fire. What was confusing was that there were these bounty hunters who were also infected. The Brian Thompson character who worked for the Black Oil, if you will. But then there were also these faceless men who were bounty hunters who had sealed up their eyes, nose, and mouth, and they were not infected, so the same race of alien, if you will, as the bounty hunters. But they had protected themselves from the infection, and so they were working against the Syndicate. They were working against anybody infected by the Black Oil, trying to stop the infection from going any further in the universe." As much as I love this show, it does make me feel like a complete moron sometimes. The Red and the Black currently sits at 8.3 on IMDb, and I'm probably going to give this one an 8. Also, I think I may have been a little too hard on Patient X, and I would probably give that one an 8 as well. Up next, we go a bit back in time as we get a guest appearance by Kolchak's Darren McGavin and the creation of the X-Files itself in the episode Travelers. So what do you think of The Red and the Black? Let me know in the comments. Anyways, folks, that's all for today. I hope you're having a great day and stay spooky!
Oh my god! They're back!
The truth
Is she here?
is out there.
Stop that truck!
Resistance is possible.
Against what?
Against the alien colonists.
I'm not here to kill you, Mulder. I'm here to help you.
The X-Files, an all-new episode Sunday at 9, 8 Central. Parental discretion advised.